understanding that is not bragging. In Tibetan Buddhism, there's a profound practice of visualization. And you visualize yourself as a deity, literally. And there are two qualities of that practice that are important. One is the clarity that you hold this vision. And the second is divine pride. That you literally have the divine pride that you are God. And until you can find that divine pride, you're not doing the practice right. It's the very, very same with integral understanding. It has a clarity that you need to develop and work on, and that goes with humility. But it also goes with divine pride. This is a very, very important time in history, and it's very, very important that you can step into being able to hold this integral pride. And again, that's different from bragging. It's stepping into a situation where you are honest with yourself and can admit there is the sixth transformation of humanity that's occurring. And for better or worse, I'm part of it. And until you can honestly step into that, then, well, low self-esteem. And that's what we sort of want to watch out for. So it is okay to think of being proud of what is happening. And as long as you step into it with this paradoxical sense of also having a humility about it. Again, it's not a braggadocio. It's a simple acknowledgement that you wouldn't be here, you wouldn't have this interest, you wouldn't be motivated by these holistic drives and motivations unless your consciousness was at that leading edge. And the sooner you can let that in, then the sooner your gifts can become part of this evolutionary unfolding. The sooner you acknowledge that you are at this leading edge, or you wouldn't be interested in it, then the sooner your gifts can go back into it. The sooner you can actually be a part of this unfolding. And you could say the same thing when foraging went into hunting. You could say the same thing when hunting went into horticultural. The people could say the same thing from horticultural into agrarian. People could say the same thing that went from agrarian into the Enlightenment, into the rational era. All of these people had to step into this divine pride in order to be able to become part of this extraordinary transformation that was occurring. So what I would really like to leave you with is an okayness about being at the leading edge, being at this frothy, unfolding edge of evolution. Because if you weren't there, you wouldn't be here. If you weren't at that leading edge, you wouldn't be motivated by any of this. You wouldn't find any of this interesting. And so the fact that you do shows this deep, deep drive that you have to find the world whole, to find your motivations whole, to find politics whole, to find medicine whole, to find the planetary existence that we're in whole, not fragmented, not broken, not first tier, not shattered, but for the first time in human history, evolution has become conscious of itself and what it wants. And what it wants is wholeness. And that is an extraordinary place to find yourself. And so please don't back off. You're deserving to be here. Please recognize that your very interest in this field is legitimate and is driven by your own integral drives. They're there, they're pushing you, they are driving you, and they are part of what, in fact, will make the new wave of consciousness on this planet. Astonishingly. And so we can't have you timidly backing off. Humility, yes. False humility, no. So let me just stop there and hope that what I've been saying is understood. It's not to increase a braggadocio. It's not, I don't want you to think in a swell-headed way. But what I do want you to do is not shrink from the fact that you have this drive, and therefore the fact that you can do it. And therefore the fact that this is the time for you to step forward and to help stand at the very frothy, creative, leading edge of evolution, which is where you are, and then from there contribute what gifts you have to making this transformation everything that it can be. And it can be an absolutely glorious, extraordinary awakening. Or it can just putter along and peter out. But the fact that we have this integrative, second-tier, holistic, comprehensive drive means one thing more than anything else historically. And it means that this is the first wave that truly embraces all of the previous stages. And therefore it's the first stage, integral, that can actively embrace pluralistic, rational, mythic, magic, and archaic. And therefore it's the first wave of consciousness that can literally bring a wholeness to the world and stop culture war. And without stopping culture war, we're not going to stop physical war. And so all of the topics of conversation, Muslim versus Jew, Buddhist versus Hindu versus Sikh, all of those are secondary to having a consciousness that can embrace all of those anyway. And that, for the first time in history, we have the opportunity of doing.